Education is often seen as a key to a brighter future. Yet, in Malaysia, a growing number of SPM leavers are choosing not to pursue their higher education. What's causing this shift, and what are the implications for the nation? This is the story of the alarming trend of dropping out. Every year, thousands of students take the Sijil Pelajaran Malaysia, or SPM, the national exam that determines the future of their academic path. Normally, doing well in SPM would lead students to higher education institutions. But recent statistics show a very worrying trend. From 2015 to 2023, the enrollment rates in universities and colleges have seen a significant drop. But just how serious is this situation?
In order to understand this trend, we interviewed both an SPM leaver and a parent to hear what they have to say on this matter.
So even with your good results from SPM, why don't you want to further your studies?
I feel like furthering my studies could be a waste of time and waste of money also for my parents, because they are looking forward to retire soon. To get a degree, it will at least take 4 years. So I was thinking instead of studying for 4 years, it's better to work for 4 years. In that way I can get experience, and I also can earn money in that 4 years. What's the point of studying when I can earn as much as a degree holder without having a degree also?
所有的父母都希望孩子能够接受高等的教育啦。可是随着学费的上涨啊，和一些家庭的成员有可能会面临那个事业的担忧啦。所有的父母都希望能够给孩子最好的教育。可是说有时候那个经济如果有困难啊，经济方面不允许的话，也是没有办法的。
To understand the broader implications of this matter, we spoke to a representative from Teach For Malaysia, an NGO that specializes in combating education inequity in Malaysia. All right, very good afternoon to Ken Ming. Thank you for joining us today. Yeah, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about the organization that you represent?
Great. Thanks so much for the opportunity. So my name is Ken. I work in an organization called Teach For Malaysia, a non-profit in the education space. I've been with the organization for the last 13 years. I think one of the main visions of the organization is to ensure that every child in Malaysia, regardless of their background, has the opportunity to realize their potential through a quality education.
We have a pertinent question, a pertinent issue that Malaysians and younger Malaysians in particular are facing today, which is that a lot of them who have taken their SPM are not pursuing higher education. How does the decline in higher education enrollment in general impacts Malaysia's global competitiveness?
If I'm looking at higher education, I think it really thinks about, as we think about a growing and healthy and thriving competitive economy, we do need to be what we would call also a knowledge economy, right? We need to be creating talent that can take on the more challenging jobs. I think the talent that we need to develop is talent that focuses a lot on the human and critical thinking aspects, right? And a huge part of tertiary education is meant to really develop our critical thinking and value system to be able to solve really, really important issues and problems in the society and community. As I think about this declining enrollment, I don't know if it's an overall decline or whether it's a kind of periodic drop, but I think there is a risk in terms of, does it meet our national aspirations where majority of the high knowledge, high skilled jobs require you to have a degree, right? Or at least a diploma. Our own competitiveness in terms of talent, I think that may be something that I worry about in a good 5 to 10 years time now.
The representative also highlights the need for policy reforms to make education more accessible and relevant to the job market.
To get a sense of public opinion, we are interviewing people in the streets of Kuala Lumpur.
Actually, education is important for them. If some of them depends on their skills, I would not guarantee 100% is important, but depends on their individual characteristics and everything lah. For me, it's compulsory to have higher education, especially for women, because women when they are those days they never study, it's okay. Now if they're comparable, like if you have doctor or PhD, means like people will see like, oh, okay, she's improving.
I mean, there's many things that they can do, but more importantly, that they have to know what they want to do.
Yeah.
If you say, okay, I want to be an event company, of course you can, but it depends on what is the direction you're going, right? By not going to further education doesn't mean you stop learning. You get what I'm trying to say? I think,
Absolutely.
yeah, like you should still learning, but just not going to a further education, but you have to tell yourself that what you want to learn.
I feel that the government should actually provide financial aid to the students, because like most of the students, they prefer not pursuing their further education. It's because they don't really have the financial aid, or like they prefer that they need to earn money, and in the process of earning the money, they just forget that they need to pursue the education. They just go along with the workforce.
Without education, you don't get a good perspective of life. You don't know what your interests are. You cannot pursue your interests to that level. And hence, it is very difficult for a country like Malaysia to grow, especially when it's now looking at IT, AI and all that. Yeah. So it's very difficult for the government itself to actually look for talent, and people who are interested in moving into this level. The population itself, or these teenagers themselves, after SPM, because of that situation where we were in 2020, where there was a lockdown, everyone went into this gig economy, which was like, selling stuff on their own on the internet, doing deliveries and all, and they find immediate gratification, which is money. So they don't see it in the future, right? They don't plan for the future. And a lot of people that I spoke to, especially the food delivery aggregators or the riders, right? They're telling me they can't do this for the rest of their lives. So they need to look for something else later on, which is more stable.
Addressing this issue requires a multifaceted approach. We spoke with the Teach For Malaysia representative to explore potential solutions to this matter. What do you think about alternative pathways, such as the vocational aspect, and do you think there is a value in such pathways?
Absolutely. I think when we think about vocational learning, I think we have to think not just about kind of skilled labor, but we have to think about what type of skills are needed within these growing economies. For example, Malaysia is uniquely positioned as a middle ground for chip manufacturing. So I think in these areas, I think there's huge opportunity for Malaysians to kind of think about, going into chip manufacturing. But I think we need to approach it with you don't want to kind of aspire to be a worker that is manufacturing chips, but rather be able to understand it and see what are the skill levels for you to be able to, lead a plant, be a supervisor, because a lot of these things will be automated as well, right? I think the level of critical thinking and ability to differentiate yourself in the midst of a more technological future is absolutely crucial for all SPM leavers, graduates, and so forth.
What is the role that the government can play in all of this?
I think there's many aspects of government, right? Whether it's from the Ministry of Economy to the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Higher Education. I think some really positive initiatives that I am seeing the government kind of taking part, I think in terms of budget allocation and primary focuses, I think there are aspects of budgets going into kind of focusing on learning recovery. How do we make sure that students affected by the pandemic or different cohorts of SPM students are supported, right? And I think they've also addressed that, hey, this increasing number of students not turning up for SPM is an issue. And so we've seen members of the Ministry of Education kind of taking a very proactive role in trying to address some of these issues. I think there needs to be a critical assessment of how are we preparing students and offering the right quality of education at a tertiary level? Because even in Malaysia, I would think that, whilst content-wise we are very strong, whether you're doing an accounting degree or a finance degree or economy degree, I think being able to produce highly critical thinkers and leaders is something I still do see a gap. And so, you can ask many major employers, while they recruiting kind of local graduates that are very committed, hardworking, and has the content knowledge, but then leadership capability and communication capability to be able to be globally competitive. I think that that's something that is lacking a little. And I think some of the things that I've seen is, trying to create better welfare for gig economy workers, right? I think while that's great, I actually think like continuous development opportunities, because if let's say you're a gig economy worker, example, you're a Grab driver and you're making a good 4,000 to 5,000, in 10 years time, will you be also still making 4,000 to 5,000? Has your skill improved? Has, your career developed in a way that you can, I don't know, graduate to a supervisor or something, right? Does that keep a certain level of society that doesn't have access to learning or development opportunities in a cycle of not being able to earn more? And that could perpetuate then certain families in a cycle of inequity that we see a lot. If we want to inject, I think, economic incentives or stimulus into certain fields and professions that we want more people to go into, we need to make sure that that comes together with development opportunities for talent going into that field, right? Because it's not just creating jobs, but how do we create careers that people can grow?
How does Teach for Malaysia, what is their role? What is their role as an NGO in the education space? What are some of the things that you guys have been working on? Would you mind sharing?
Yeah, I think there's one kind of overarching thing that we are trying to do, and so we're aiming to build a movement of leaders that care a lot about supporting students that are from underprivileged backgrounds achieve quality education. So we believe that quality education is what will help students grow and achieve the kind of dreams that they have. But quality education in itself, I think, is quite a broad perspective, right? It can be academic learning, but it's also leadership development, character development, and exposure to the right opportunity. So I think one thing we've seen alongside under the umbrella of developing leaders, we look at both a teacher level, what can teachers do? What can students themselves do? And what can the broader community of volunteers do as well? And so we have programs like our fellowship program where graduates, young professionals can do a 2-year leadership development program, teach in an underprivileged school, and really develop their grassroots level understanding to be long-term advocates in education. We also train teachers that are in the education system to really upskill and hopefully accelerate their leadership. But we're also creating this broader platform where university students can volunteer, parents can get involved, different people can donate towards the specific cause or towards Teach For Malaysia in general, and also students then can lead a huge part of this development, right? And so we're trying to bring the critical thinking, design thinking, problem solving a little bit earlier rather than just kind of waiting for later in life, that we do a lot of student leadership programs directly with students.
The decision to pursue higher education is deeply personal and influenced by various factors, from financial constraints to job market realities. While the trend of SPM leavers abandoning their higher education is alarming, it also highlights the need for systemic changes in Malaysia's education landscape. Ensuring that every student have the opportunity to succeed, whether through traditional academia or alternative pathway, is crucial for our country's future. Thank you for watching.